Hello, welcome back and welcome in. My name is Nikki Wheeler, and if you are interested in gaming, you can go subscribe to my other channel and follow my Twitch to see my gaming live. Now let's start this video off and discuss about Marina Diamondis, also known as Marina and the Diamonds, or today she is just mononymously Marina. Marina is no stranger to the music industry, and in fact, she's almost 2 decades into her career, starting in 2005 but not releasing an EP up until 2007 titled Mermaid vs. Sailor, with tracks such as Hermit the Frog and 17, which she later re-recorded and debuted in her first studio album, The Family Jewels, in 2010. This album was a hit no matter which way you look at it. With her unique vocals and telling lyrics, it was no question that this album was going to be a success. The starting track, Are You Satisfied, was in regard to the disdain for celebrity culture versus the actual longing for success and becoming one of those celebrities. Moving into the next song, Champagne, which is more pop-driven than the last and explores when vices, such as alcohol, transforms from a source of entertainment into an unhealthy coping mechanism. And just from these first 2 tracks alone, you can tell that the rest of the album would follow suit and launching Marina into extraordinary fame. This album had peaked at 138 on the US Billboard Top 200 and number 5 on the UK albums. Her next album, Electra Heart, follows the character Marina had made named Electra, supposedly to be a theatrical character for the American quote-unquote dream girl. Blonde hair, long eyelashes, pink bows, and all these really feminine traits. In Prima Donna, Electra sings in a childlike voice, asking for a big diamond ring. Following track, Bubblegum Bitch, she's very much more assertive in her feminine ways, which actually shot this album all the way up to number 1 in Ireland, Scotland, and the UK. And Marina has said in an interview that this album had actually made her uncomfortable in multiple aspects, but one mainly being that she didn't feel like herself when making it, and it wasn't her getting the fame, but her character, Electra. When I look at Electra Heart, I feel like it's somebody else. She had said Lana Del Rey does toxic and tragic heroin much better, combining the nostalgic glamour with the 20th century Americana in a singular focused image. Now that brings us into her third album, Fruit, which was that final album under the pseudonym Marina and the Diamonds. This album has all writing credits to Marina, and it comes up front with a more mature and self-aware approach. Just by the song titles alone, you can see how much more mature and confident Marina was in her time of writing this. And just to name a few, you have Happy, Can't Pin Me Down, and Gold. And in speaking of gold, she even addressed how she was misperceived in the pop industry with the lyrics, "They don't seem to understand who you are. It doesn't matter as long as you are a star." And as refreshing as this album was to me and many other fans, some critics were extremely critical and knocked this album down a major peg. Rolling Stones has said, superfluous songs and cringy lyrics, and interpreted her lyrical commentary on Savages as misanthropic. They had also stated that the song Better Than That was slut-shaming, and while I see this track as more of a successor to Homewrecker from her previous album Electra Heart, where she's talking to a man and she gives a short shrift to a woman that lured him into a sexual trap before casting him aside and telling him that he can do better than that. And while this album was considered a quote-unquote flop in the UK, it did reach number 8 on the US Billboard Top 200. And now we move on to her fourth studio album, Love Plus Fear, which was the first album with the new mononym Marina, and it was released a little differently than most of her albums and most albums in general. As the name suggested, it does consist of 2 different sides, love and fear. The first half, Love, was released in early April of 2019, consisting of 8 tracks, and 4 of which do have music videos alongside them. Love is filled with a longing to enjoy life and a desire for unity, and with a track like Orange Trees, you can visibly see and hear her longing for going to the beach and to relax and enjoy life in the moment and not worry about pretty much anything. I take a breath of air, I feel free. Spent so long was busy chasing happiness when all I needed was a little peace. Now, the other half, Fear, was evidently the opposite. It was released in late April alongside the first part to officially have a full 16-track album. Fear explores subjects that have been a lot harder for me to work through and understand, such as purpose, insecurity in love, and major shifts in our social conscience regarding the systemic misogyny and sexual abuse employed by powerful figures in the media, Marina has once stated. Both sides come together to showcase human nature and how we're savages, essentially, like the previous album, and how troubling it is to be human and live a quote unquote normal and harmless life. This album had peaked at 28 on the US Billboard Top 200 and 5 on the UK albums. Now, at the end of her career as of right now, the final studio album Marina had released was titled Ancient Dreams in a Modern Land, and it was released in June of 2021. And compared to her other releases, this album is very much more like in your face about the social issues and Marina's views on them. With the track New America, she states they've got blood on their hands because they stole all the land. The album peaked at 92 on the US Billboard Top 200 and 17 on the UK albums. And out of all of the albums I have talked about today, I believe that this one can basically carry the message along a lot smoother. And all of the albums I have talked about today, which are all 5 of Marina's albums, have been heavily criticized by many and praised by many. Marina has been in the music game for nearly 2 decades and is still going strong with her pop records and iconic alternative style. She has had major success, but some failures as well, and just as recently, she has had a split with Atlantic Records. While the reason is still technically unknown, many say Ancient Dreams was the final album with a major label for Marina because of creative differences and inflexibility with the label. This is a majority speculation because it has happened before with Marina. Her third album, Fruit, was largely made by her and credited to her because of the strictness of the label. So it wouldn't be a huge surprise if this has been the reason she had left Atlantic. Thankfully, though, she has had officially announced on Twitter on November 15th, 2022, that she is now the owner of an indie label named Queenie Records under partnership with BMG. And I do believe dropping the And the Diamonds really set Marina up for greater things and better music, so she feels more connected to her audience and who she is writing for. And I do hope to see more out of Marina in upcoming years and wish her luck in the indie label endeavors with Queenie Records. Finally, I did want to show you guys my personal rankings of the Marina albums from best to worst, and in my opinion there is no worst because I think all of them are great, so there's no bad feelings for any of these lower albums. At number 1, I personally have Fruit. Number 2 is Love and Fear. Number 3 is The Family Jewels. Number 4 is Ancient Dreams. And number 5 is Electra Heart. Thank you guys for watching today's video and sticking it out until the end. I'll see you guys until next time. Bye guys.